Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Relationship Talks. I'm your host Laurie Brooke, and together we will get to take a look at what goes on behind closed doors. Today it is another solo episode, and I'm really looking forward to having a chat to you today about listening. Hello and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. Today it's just you and I again, and I wanted to talk to you today about listening. Now, listening is one of those skills that I think we all think we're better than what we actually are. We all love to think we are great listeners, that we've got that skill down pat, that we hear what other people are telling us. So how much harder can it be? So let's delve into this topic of listening and what listening in a true sense means for you and for your relationships, and how doing deep level listening can really take your relationships to the next level. I can't wait to talk to you about it. I want to start off by talking about the surface level listening, though, and problem solving when it comes to listening. So, what is surface level listening? What is listening from a problem solving perspective? Well, clearly just that, right? Surface level listening is where we sit here, we listen to what the other person's saying, and then we respond. We respond to the words that they've said. We respond to the message that we have heard. And from a problem solving perspective, it's when somebody tells us they've got an issue, and then we say, this is how you fix it. Most people that I know are fantastic at this surface level problem solving level perspective when it comes to listening. It's something that we do naturally. And I say we do it naturally, but I also think it's more of the fact that we are so busy that it's a bit like, right, tell me what the issue is. Here's the solution. Let's move on. Got to face the next obstacle. We've got dinner to cook. We've got a load of washing to put on. We've got beds to make. We've got, homework to do, whatever the case may be. And we just need to keep churning through everything without stopping. Because if we stop, we're probably exhausted. We're probably tired. We don't have the emotional energy to have these big conversations. And so let's just not do it. Sometimes it just seems harder. And I get that, right? Like, life gets in the way, and it's not easy to make the time and make this a priority, especially every day. But this surface level problem solving can lead people to feeling unheard. It can lead to feelings of resentment, of anger, of frustration, because you're talking and the other person's just not hearing your message. Yeah, they're giving you an answer to the problem that you're talking about, but that's not what you want. And you kind of feel like you're being clear in how you are articulating your message, but they're not picking the same thing up. And so you're there feeling like you're banging your head against a brick wall going, I don't know what else I can be saying. They're there going, I've given you a solution to your problem. What's the issue? Let's move on. And then that creates that emotional barrier that we talked about a few weeks ago. So how do we actually change this dynamic? How do we move on from this constant clash so that we can develop a stronger relationship. And that's where, this deep level listening comes into play. Before I start talking to you about deep level listening, though, let's take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back with you just after this. We're just going to take a quick break now, so don't go anywhere. Make sure you stick around and join us for the rest of our conversation. If you haven't already, make sure you grab a copy of my ebook, It's Time to Stop the Overwhelm, giving you practical and actionable tips that you can implement right away to create happier and healthier relationships. Welcome back, and let's get right into deep level listening. What does it actually look like? So, deep level listening is listening not just for the words, it's not just the words that the person is saying, but it goes underneath that. It's almost like being a private investigator or a detective looking for the hidden messages and the clues in the conversation. What are they feeling? What is their body language like? What words with the body language, with the feelings, can you pick up on? And where can you actually respond to that? If you come home from the end of your day at work and you're at the door and your partner greets you and you say, "Hey, how was your day?" And you're like, "Oh, it wasn't too bad. Had a few meetings, nothing really, exciting to tell you, but what about yours?" And then your partner goes, "Oh, my day was so frustrating. It was just one fight after the other with the kids. They wouldn't do what they were told. They wouldn't sleep. They wouldn't eat. They've been fighting with each other all day. Haven't been able to get any of my work done. Haven't even thought about dinner yet." And it goes on and on and on. And if you jump in at that point and say, "But I've told you what to do when they're fighting. Did you throw their lunch out if they wouldn't eat it? Did you just put them down and walk out of the room? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this?" And they're probably sitting there going, "Really? That's what you heard? From all of that, that's what you heard?" And sure, there were the words that your partner used. Yes, you answered what they actually said. But what you haven't picked up on is the frustration, the exhaustion, the empathy, that sounds really frustrating. I'm sorry you had such a bad day. Don't worry about dinner. Let's just order takeout tonight, and then we put the kids to bed early, sit down, have a glass of wine, and relax. Doesn't that sound much better as a response? But that's what that deep level listening does, right? It's looking for all of those hidden emotion and cues that are underneath. Sometimes when people talk to us and they're telling us the problems, they're telling us the issues, they're telling us the obstacles that they're facing and the challenges that they're having, they don't actually want a solution. Sometimes they know what they have to do. And often it's just that they want some understanding that, yeah, things are pretty crap right now. Or you must be tired, exhausted, frustrated. I get it. If you are at a point where you go, "Oh, I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that," right? Am I responding with understanding, acknowledgement, or do they want a solution? And because sometimes you just don't know. The best way you can do it, though, is to ask. "Hey, I've heard what you've said. Do you just want me to listen? Do you want me to offer you any suggestions? happy to be a sounding board, but I also know that sometimes, a different opinion might help. What would you like? And they will tell you what they want. They will tell you what they want when it comes to that. So let them take ownership of it. Let them take ownership of how they are feeling and where they actually want to go in this conversation. Now, I think the other great thing to understand when it comes to listening is that as the listener, our body language is just as important, if not more important, than the body language of the person who's talking. If we want the person who is talking to actually feel heard, to actually feel like they are being listened to, don't sit there on your phone. Don't sit there watching TV. Don't sit there with your arms crossed, looking here, there, or anywhere except at them. Don't roll your eyes or give a sigh or do anything that might make them feel like you're wasting their time, your time, that they're inconveniencing you, that they're being stupid, that they're being silly. Don't go away. I will be right back finishing the conversation just after this. If you are looking for ways to improve, enhance, and take your relationship to the next level, make sure you check out our online program, Improving Your Relationships. Don't stay where you are. Do the work, create your own happiness, and move forward with happier and healthier relationships. If you want them to actually open up to you and be able to have these conversations, if you want to be able to create an environment where they can feel like that it's okay to be vulnerable and raw and open and honest with you, then you need to create that environment yourself when you're listening to them. Because there's only going to be so many times that they will sit there and watch you play on your phone, watch the TV, eye roll, make some noise like, yeah, whatever, roll your eyes, raise your eyebrows. There's only so many times that they will see that before they'll start to feel like you're not the person that they can share things with. And when people start to feel like they can't share things with you, then that starts to create areas of tension within a relationship. And that tension doesn't have to be fatal, but it does need to be worked on. Because you need to maintain that safety net. And that safety net comes from listening. It comes from empathy and understanding. It comes from allowing the other person to be who they are without judging. That's where you create your safety net for your relationship. If you want help with listening, this is one of the many areas that we work on in the online program, Improving Your Relationships. So I'd love to see you come along there. But before that, make sure you pick up a copy of the book. It's Time to Stop the Overwhelm. Take some action straight away. Remember, the choice is yours. Make today the very best it can be. And I'll see you next time. And thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Relationship Talks. If you can, I would love for you to jump on and leave a review. And whilst you are at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please join me again next week when we get to take a look behind closed doors at someone else's relationship. But until then, I am your host, Laurie Brooke, and remember, the choice is yours, so make today and the week the very best it can be.